just know, guys, that it doesn't really matter what happened to you. What I've realized through this entire journey, a lot of that is just it's going to happen for you. So you can really inspire and you can lead and you can help so many people along your journey because God wants to use you as a vessel. He wants to use you
Yes.
as a message and he wants you to be able to relate to as many people as you possibly can. And I'm actually grateful for the things that I went through. If we went through everything, I'm actually grateful for it because it's made me into the person that I am today.
All right. Welcome, welcome, everybody, to episode 44 of the podcast Unlimited Wisdom with Robert Hollis. And as we get started, I want to thank each and every one of you for hitting the like button and for sharing also this podcast with your friends and family. Why? Because today, even more so, is a very special Unlimited Wisdom podcast. I'm Craig Jackman along with Robert Hollis, and we have a very special guest with us. Please say hello to our brand new super affiliate to My Daily Choice, Maddie Pips Thayer. Maddie, welcome. Oh my gosh, it's so great to see you and have you on board with us here on Unlimited Wisdom. Episode 44 will be iconic. I know that for a fact.
I love it. Thank you so much, man. Episode 44. That's crazy. You guys have done a lot of episodes.
Yeah, it's for sure. So, Mr. Thayer, I'll call you Mr. Thayer. I don't mind. You want me to call you Maddie, Matthew, what?
Matthew's good. Thayer, whatever you want.
I could just call you Super Affiliate.
Yeah. We'll call me Super.
Well, welcome everyone. I know that you've been on a lot of podcasts. Like Craig said, very special guest. It's someone that I got to meet 2 years ago, and when he first came over to MDC, he's part of Akashics. And I'm just telling you guys this straight up, whether you believe this or not. I know this might humble Matthew, Mr. Thayer. I keep calling him Mr. Thayer from the old school. Respect, bro, respect. But he came over here and sat down with the owner, Josh Wagle, and really shared his vision and his imagination what Akashics could be. And we'll hear through his story that he was very successful in two other companies. And when he came over here, when you're starting any brand new brand like that is Akashics, it didn't happen right away. You'll hear that. And he just stayed in. About 6-7 months ago, he was able to bring over a partner of his, Joey Wilson. And man, they just started lighting things up. And because of their vision with Josh Wagle, they started adding some stuff. You'll hear about TradeX Mastery and also the whole concept of tap and trade. And I've watched the company just explode in that brand. I mean, I got involved like the end of July, and I've watched the company in the last 6-7 months, go to 2,000 agents, or I guess what you call traders, to 4 to 6 to 8 to 10. Now there's probably more than 8,000 active traders just in Matthew Thayer's group alone. and so, Maddie, thank you very much for coming on here. I really, really appreciate you. To start out sort of a little funny is when I met your wife, I remember right away, I said, wow, it was really fun spending a little time with Matthew and Hannah. And she goes, they wasn't at the event because my son's Matthew and his wife is Hannah.
Oh,
So he's on here. So why don't you just start out at the beginning, just telling us, you told me a little bit about your story. I'm joking as I'm saying this, but you grew up in a very wealthy family. You had a silver spoon in your mouth. Everything was catered for. I'm joking. So I hope you don't mind sharing people, because when I tell my past story, they're going, oh my God, I think he just wiped out every excuse I have. So why don't you introduce everyone to who you are? And Matthew, my son's on here, so you can say hi. He's there. So we got Matthew and Matthew on. So
awesome.
go
Well,
ahead, Matthew.
first and foremost, man, thank you so much for having me on. We got a chance to talk and get close. What I don't know what it was, like a week or maybe 2 weeks ago. And we just started talking about our histories and kind of what it's looked like in this business, but then also just kind of growing up as well. Because here's the thing: a lot of people do look at me, they look at you, they look at a lot of the leaders as I can never be like them.
Yeah.
They are so far up there. They're so perfect. They've had a perfect upbringing, and that's why they're successful. And guys, that's really the farthest thing from the truth. And what I've actually realized from this industry is the most successful people in this industry usually have the worst history. They have the worst background.
I
They've
call them
gone,
I call them misfits from Misfit Island. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So if you watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, that's the way Math used to say it. But all the misfits got to go to Misfit Island, and then they
Yeah.
found out just how blessed they are. So please continue. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I mean, my business partner Joey, he would always, in his calls and stuff like that, he always say, network marketing, we don't prejudge. Doesn't matter if you went to State
Right.
Penn or if you just got out of the Penn State or the State Penn. It didn't matter if you went to Penn State or if you just got out of the State Penn. Because
Good.
it's the reality, guys. It doesn't matter what your background is. Here is an equal opportunity where you have a bunch of people that just want to see you be successful. And for me, guys, growing up, I was blessed to have a mom that absolutely loved me. My dad, same thing. He did love me, but they grew up in the 70s. They grew up in the 80s where there was substance things that, people got accustomed to using. And, for me growing up in the 90s, I took a hit with that. I had to have an experience with that. And thank God I had, my grandparents in my life to kind of look over me and to give me a good, path to run on. My grandpa was, an insurance salesman, beautiful home right on the golf
Wow.
course. So when I'd go visit them, he'd always talk to me about the finer things in life. My grandma would always talk about sales and becoming a personable person. And she's always like, you got to learn how to golf so then you can take your salespeople onto the golf course and make the biggest deals of your life. And that was really instilled in my brain whenever I'd go over
Cool.
to her house. But then when I'd go back home, there's a lot of things that happened that, made me grow up very, very fast. I'm from the Midwest. My parents are divorced. My mom, she, like I said, loves me to death, and she went through a lot of things at her young age. She was kind of lost. So when they got divorced, I ended up living with my dad. And there was just a lot of different things that happened in my childhood that made me really grow up really fast. And,
Right.
one day I would love to share those intricate details, maybe on stage or, with, different leaders and stuff like that. But just know, guys, that it doesn't really matter what happened to you. What I've realized through this entire journey, a lot of that is just it's going to happen for you. So you can really inspire and you can lead and you can help so many people along your journey because God wants to use you as a vessel. He wants to use you
Yes.
as a message and he wants you to be able to relate to as many people as you possibly can. And I'm actually grateful for the things that I went through. If we went through everything, I'm actually grateful for it because it's made me into the person that I am today.
Right.
It allows me to go out there and relate with other people that have gone through things. But yeah, my parents had absolutely zero money. I mean, I did not come from a wealthy family. My dad was a musician. Well, actually, a wannabe musician. If you're watching this, then I'm sorry, but he played. He played on the weekends. I think he made like $1,000, $1,500 a month. So it was a struggle. We didn't have
Right.
food in the kitchen, and growing up out in the country, there was not much to do, and had to be very, very creative. And by the time I got to college and by the time I got going in my life, I was lucky enough to see network marketing at the age of 22. Um,
Wow.
I was playing basketball for the University of Stout. I was going to school, or I was in college. I didn't go to class. I say go to school, but really I didn't go to class. I was there to only play sports. But I was kind of like everybody else.
Right.
Whenever someone would ask me, Matt, what do you want to be when you grow up? I never could answer that question. I didn't
Right.
know. I was like, maybe I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a plastic surgeon. Maybe I always look at Google and I'd always type in, what's the highest paying job? And
Got
that's
it.
the job that I wanted. because I knew I wanted a good life. And I told my grandma at one point, I said, I'll never be average. That's one thing that I always stayed true to. And I told her, I said, there's two things that are going to happen in my life. I'm either going to be broke and living under a bridge, chasing success, or I'm
Right.
going to be successful. I will never be average. I will never work a 9 to 5 job. I will never just live that cookie cutter life. I want something more for my life. And I believe in attraction. I believe in the law of attraction. And I think that's what caused network marketing to come into my life when I was 22, to be able to see people like you, Robert, that have went out there and lived the lifestyle that most people dream of. And when I saw that as a young kid, for me, it gave me
Yeah.
confirmation that there was more out there.
I'll never forget my first presentation, right? Someone introduced a VHS tape. A lot of people might not know what that is. But go to Blockbusters and get a VHS. But
I hated rewinding those.
yeah, and while I was watching it, then I got to meet the guy that was actually on it. And when I asked him what he did, he's making 62 grand a month. And I just asked him, I said, "What did you do before this?" And he said, "I worked at a tire store. I put on used and news tires." And I was like, "I'm gonna be a millionaire, man." No, no, that didn't happen overnight, but wow, I pulled it off by the age of 30. And it was just doing the little things that he taught me. So yeah, meeting people that inspire you, that you look at, and I'm not being mean here, but when you look at people and you go, God's not a discerner of persons.
Mhm.
People look at me all the time, and I do know there's people that worked very, very hard on their athletic ability. So I'm not an insane imaginator, but the one thing that I've never dreamed about being an Olympic figure skater. That just wasn't for me.
No way, really?
Yeah, yeah. So people always go, there's some limits to your imagination. Yeah, there is. But one thing that I love about this industry that we're in, network marketing, is that it has to do with your personal development, your willingness to learn, and the ability to be able to use your mouth and speak with confidence and charisma and more than anything, believe. So you get confidence. So in your life, what would you say, being plugged into people that had personal development and learning new things, learning new skills? Talk a little bit to people about that, because most people you and I know, sadly to say, this industry, as good as it is, it's not perfect, but
Yeah.
people still, just like in America, people don't realize only 5% of people that are working in America that pay taxes make 200 grand a year. So what's, pardon my language, what's fucked up with America?
Mhm.
Um, Nothing. It's that 95% of people just do not believe in themselves. They don't feel deserving. They don't feel unique and a miracle like you and I feel. They don't have that connection. Everything in the world talks them out of it because they
Mhm.
listen to the 95%. So when I got exposed to people that said, "Listen, you can be a 5%er. You could be a 1%er." And I was like, "Hey, I'm in, all in." So talk to that, how personal development and learning and believing has really, really helped you.
Yeah, I mean, that is an amazing question, and I'm glad that you asked it because, for a lot of people, they struggle with, how do I get to the next level? How do I become successful? And I was told something right away when I got in the industry, and they were like, if you want to make a lifestyle changing income, if you want that, you cannot be the same person that you are here today.
Correct.
You, as a millionaire, will be completely different than who you are today. And there's something called a comfort zone. And where you're at right now in your comfort zone is where your wealth zone is. And if you want to grow that wealth zone, you're going to have to grow that comfort zone. So when you feel uncomfortable, know that that is you growing. So when I got told that, when I got in front of the room now, when I did a presentation, I felt uncomfortable right away. I was like, okay, I'm growing. Okay, I'm getting better. When
Right.
I did my first invite and I had to do a three-way phone call, it was nerve-wracking. I was nervous, but I remembered the things that I learned and I applied them. And every time I felt uncomfortable, all I remembered was, okay, I'm growing that wealth zone. And I knew that if I just kept doing that and I kept doing it and I kept doing it, I would get better. Because to be honest, guys, when I first started doing those things, I sucked. I was
Oh,
terrible. I mean,
super suck, super suck.
I remember my first presentation. I'm standing in front of the room, and halfway through it, I forgot what I was saying, and I had to call up Joey to finish the presentation. Like, I was like,
Yeah,
"Hey, man, I don't know where I'm going with this. Come over here, please, and just take it over for me." It was so embarrassing. But you know what? I want everybody to know that you have to go through that, though. It doesn't matter how much you listen to. It doesn't matter how many times you get on these podcasts and listen to the things that we say. The only way that you're actually going to get to where you want to get to is by going out there and doing it yourself. That's the best form of
yep,
personal development. That's where you're going to learn the most. Because, yeah, I mean, in the very beginning, I went to all the events. I
yep,
listened to everything. I wrote everything down. And it was good. I had all the knowledge. But until I actually started doing the things that I was learning, I didn't actually learn it, if that makes
right.
sense.
Oh, it
It took
totally
me
makes sense.
actually.
My analogy always is, listen, you want to learn to ride a bicycle? Let me send you a video. It's like it doesn't work the same. So, you're married
I am.
to your beautiful wife Hannah, just like my son.
Yeah.
Married to a beautiful lady. I guess what? We're expecting. I could say that we're expecting a grandson, Ezra, in June.
No way.
Yeah, yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. So
Thank you. Thank you.
that's really, really, really cool. And you have a daughter, correct?
I do. Yep. A 9-year-old. She'll turn 10 here in August, and she's like already almost 6 feet tall.
What? That's
No, she's
crazy.
she's really like I think she's like 5'2" or 5'4" or 5'3",
Oh,
somewhere around there. But yeah, she's only 9 years old, and I mean she's literally
tall.
like up to here. I'm like, holy, she's probably gonna be taller than me.
Yeah, so I have a grandson writer that's that age, and all of the granddaughters. So a family man. So I guess the next question I want to ask you is that a lot of people when they get involved in this, regardless of what kind of upbringing they've been in, it's your belief system. So as
Mhm.
you've gone through every year your hero's journey,
Yeah.
again, congratulations on being super affiliate. I've been I've been lonely at this spot for the last 6 years. So you're really creating some new energy. Hey, we got a new super affiliate,
Yeah.
and but going through the years, a lot of people just think it's like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And why don't you share with people? I always love saying this, and they get in shock. But you see the trophies and accolades behind me. I've been with 19 different companies. This is my 19th company. And when people hear that, they go, God, that's a lot of companies. And I wanted every one of them to be the last company I was in,
Yeah.
but a lot of them made stupid decisions. They're no longer in business. A lot of ups and downs. And just like relationships, you have a tendency of going, man, I can't tell you how much effort and time and sacrifice that I put into another company, and it crushed me. It crushed me. It took my spirit. It took my heart. Like in Austin Powers, it took my mojo. So
Yeah.
there was times when I'm rocking around and I don't feel like I got any mojo. So speak to your journey in this industry.
It really comes down to, again, I think back to what I learned through this entire time, and I learned that in order to have a testimony, you have to have tests. Like,
Wow,
you
good.
have to go through things in order to be able to inspire other people. Like, if you just go straight to the top, what are you going to tell everybody how you did it? Oh, I got in and I told some people, and all of a sudden my teams blew up and I hit the top rank of the company. That's not inspiring, and so my beliefs are that I believe in God, I believe in a higher power, and I believe that if he's going to put that in your life and he's going to make it available for you, he's got to put you through a bunch of tests. So then by the time that you get to where you're wanting to get to, you are actually grateful for it.
Hey,
When I came into the industry at 22, guys, I was terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I was in a very, very small town. I actually graduated with 60 people in my class. There was more cows than people from where I'm from. Um, I didn't have a massive network. And obviously with network marketing, you have to have a network in order to build a team.
Wait,
So,
was this before the internet?
no. Well, in 2008, 2009, Facebook was just coming out.
Right.
Instagram really wasn't around yet. So
Did
social
you have a
media,
MySpace page?
I never had a MySpace. No. So
That's where
I
I
wasn't,
started out. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I wasn't the MySpace guy. I had an AOL Messenger, but I think I only had like 12 people on there. But so getting started in the industry, going to a small college, in Wisconsin, there's not a lot of people, and word gets around really fast.
Yeah.
And if you've ever showed anybody, if you've been in the business and you've ever showed one person, you've definitely already experienced this. The first experience is that's a scam. That does not work. I've never heard anybody make any money with that. So when I go to school and I'm trying to tell everybody about my first company, I'm excited. I'm like, you know what? We're going to make residual income,
Hell
whatever that
yeah.
is. We're going to travel. We're going to live this crazy lifestyle. And I'm asking them to buy something. They're like, well, what am I buying? And I'm like, I don't know. It's a travel package. And right away, going to a small town, I was the blue you should be here guy. I was the
Right.
Ponzi salesman. I was the scammer right away. So I struggled, guys. I struggled for my first 2 years. I ended up actually falling out of the company. Never actually quit. It's just my card got off the back office. I never went in there and actually hit cancel or quit or anything like
Got
that.
it.
But over time, after 6 months, your position goes away if you haven't paid your monthly. But it was about 2.5 years later, from the day that I joined, that I was sitting behind my desk. I got a car sales job, and I'm sitting there. I just got back into the dealership, and it's a cold, cold, cold December Wisconsin night. And as a new sales associate, they make you go shovel off all the cars, move all the cars around so they can plow. Hated it. Got back to my office, sat down on my chair, and my business partner, Joey Wilson, posts a video with 13 of his friends in Catalina Island on a cruise, made a video about it. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching this, and I'm like, you're kidding me. So he actually made that thing work because I got introduced to him when I first got started. So I knew who he was. And guys, that was my moment. That was I was sick and tired of being sick and tired moment where that time when I got started with him, he was able to show me how he hit, a rank of six figures. He was able to show me, what the process looked like. So I actually had a mentor, but I had to be able to go through that in order to now, when I go on my journey,
Totally.
inspire other people. And guys, for that first 5.5 years of my career, I really look at it as it was my learning process. It was where I learned everything. I learned how to invite, I learned how to close, I learned how to taproot through my organization because again, I didn't have a big network. So I had to figure out how to take Robert and go find Matthew. And then I had to take Matthew and figure out how to find Craig. And then I had to find Craig to go find, a big leader. So I had to learn those skill sets. But by the time that company went through their momentum, I went on to hit six figures, but people that were there and knew how to build a foundation, they went on to make their seven figures, right?
Yeah.
But I was able to see what momentum looked like. So by the time I got to my second company, this time around, I knew exactly what to do. I knew exactly how to build out a foundation. So when that second company, guys, when that company went through momentum, that's where I went and hit my seven figures. And I was able to apply all the things that I knew, and I was able to create 10 six-figure earners that time around with my business partner.
Wow.
And it's all because, again, I had to go through certain circumstances to be able to teach other people what to expect. And then
That's a great phrase. Yeah,
and
I have to go through this to get to here. That
yeah.
is, yes, powerful.
So, by the time I got to Akashics and by the time I got to MDC, guys, now I've been able to learn everything. Then I applied everything, and then now this run is about finding a bunch of people that know exactly what to do in this business. My network now has grown, and it's right now a fight for market share because when this company hits vertical, when this company hits momentum, we're gonna have an army of people that have a foundation built, and instead of me hitting seven figures, we're going to help, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people hit seven figures.
Amen.
Because now, again, I've gone through it. Robert, yes, it's taking you 19 companies to get to this point, but guess what? Now you have 19 different stories, 19 different situations, 19 different things that you can go and teach your team on
right.
how to go create a foundation, how to get ready for momentum, and how to position your teams to be able to capitalize on this momentum run. So I'm excited, guys, because it's happening also right now. I mean,
No,
just
it's I
you know,
I've been blessed to be in momentum 7 times, and those led to top income earner in that company.
yep,
And this is the first company that I've been with for over 7 years, and
wow,
I see the second momentum happening in this
yep,
company. So when we got in, it went from 10 million to 100 million to 170 million. And so watching what you and Akashics and everyone is doing, it's like yeah,
well, you
I'm
know,
honored to see it happen again.
it's amazing what Josh has created because MDC was the home for HempWorks to go through momentum, right?
Yeah,
It was almost like a company was able to plug into the motherboard, hit their momentum, and then Akashics is a brand new now opportunity that's plugged into the motherboard that can go through momentum. But guess what? Now, if something were to happen to trading, we don't have to leave. We can just plug a different brand into the motherboard and ride that momentum. And, obviously we want to be, like you said, in a company for, 10, 20, 25 years.
yes,
That's the dream.
yes,
I don't want to have to ever build again. I don't ever
yeah,
want to have to go through the growing pains of the day one type of things. And I don't want to have to go to 19 companies. I would
no,
love for this to be my last stop. But God has his own path. He has
yeah,
his own reasons. And honestly, guys, I love the industry because the industry is the one place that allows anybody to become successful, no
right.
matter what your background is, no matter what your skill level is. It is an even opportunity for every single human being on this planet. And then when you do join, you're going to go from where you are here to, I believe, what God wanted, which is your highest form of your ability, your full potential, who you're supposed to become.
Yeah, I look back at my life and what got me into the industry was being at the wrong place at the wrong time, getting hurt on the job. And now I'm on workman's comp and I have a doctor look at me and he goes, "Listen, you're not going to be a mechanic anymore. You're not going to be able to support yourself with that knee." And so I'm like, I don't know how to do anything else. And I got pretty high in that mechanics arena. And so when I had to change total careers, and then all of a sudden look at this, I'm trying to think where else I could go, and stay in an industry for 38 years and make the kind of income that I've made, but also all the people that I've been able to help. It's like there's thousands, tens of thousands of people that never ever work for anybody again. And a lot of them will send me messages all the time. Hey, thank you so much for the beginning. Because this industry, when you really focus on personal development and ranking yourself up, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, then it becomes an addiction. Like I'm trying to go, where the hell am I going to go? It's like I love helping people. I love watching them get rewarded. That juices me. So, when I did that, it was like the key. So I guess the only other thing that I would like to ask you is, before I ask that question, Craig, Matthew, you guys got any questions whatsoever to add Mr. Thayer?
I do, but I want you to finish, like the beginning part of this before I get into anything that I have to ask. Because I wanted Matt to have the oppor. Do you prefer to go by Matt or Matthew? Since I'm another Matt. I don't care
Yeah.
either
You,
way.
Matt, I'm same way.
Perfect, perfect. So no, I was just gonna ask you, as far as the platforms that you've seen like the most growth in what you've been doing is Instagram, because I know you guys are like really doing well on Instagram. Are you guys seeing like the most results from Instagram as far as the social media networks go, or is there another one out there that you guys kind of have your eyes on? And as far as that stuff goes, a second question on top of that, like when did you focus specifically on Instagram as like the main one, and why?
So since Instagram came out, we knew that Instagram was going to be almost like the new age network marketing resume. When you
Mm,
go show somebody, when you go do a presentation, the first thing that we always did was, hey, add me on Instagram. Because then we knew that if they were watching our progress, if they were watching our stories, if they were watching our page, they would be able to see the consistency. And eventually it's almost like a free follow-up. It's almost like a follow-up on automation. As long as you're
wow.
active and as long as you're doing what
Right.
you're supposed to be doing. So Instagram really always has been like my main kind of what I always stayed most consistent to. Since like 2020 though, since COVID, TikTok has really exploded.
Mm,
I've personally not had any success with TikTok, but I have had people in my team though sign up hundreds of people from different TikToks and just being out there. So those just seem to be really the two most powerful forms of social media for people to find prospects. I'm not really the person to tell you though how to approach TikTok other than creating, short form content on what the products are, what the journey is, and maybe like a testimonial type videos, but you got to do those really, really consistently. I think TikTok is more for unknown prospects. It's for people that you've never met before. It's really like an ad system that can add. But
mm.
what you want to do is you want to funnel people from TikTok to your Instagram. And then your Instagram is where they can follow and see your entire journey. But for me guys, it's really just been building organically what I learned in my first company, right? Going to the gym, meeting someone new. I always add them on Instagram. And then when I do get somebody in, tap rooting through them, adding them on Instagram, and just kind of that funnel process. And when you do it long enough and when you're consistent enough, as you're getting those people into that funnel system, into your Instagram and into watching what you're doing, eventually they get to the point like I was, where I saw Joey's video on Facebook, where they're like, okay, I've seen enough. This guy
Yeah.
Right.
showed me
I've had
these
enough
opportunities.
impressions at this point.
All right, I've seen this guy 6 years ago show me what he was doing, and he looked completely different 6 years ago. Now he's doing X, Y, Z. So I
That's
need to
the
reach
best
out to him.
documentation that you could have, to be honest. So
Right.
that makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that because I know a lot of people in the network marketing space in particular, they're utilizing Facebook and some of these more. It's funny how we have legacy news. I almost see Facebook as like legacy social media, right?
Yep.
Like there's just certain social media networks, and I'm working with a couple of people right now where we're running Facebook ads and stuff. Has nothing to do with network marketing,
Yep.
and we're getting people filling out whole entire phone number, answering a questionnaire, everything, and sending it in. It's a bot. And you're like, how did they go through that whole questionnaire and answer all the questions? Give a phone number and you call them, and then they're like, hi, this is a robot. And you're like talking to an AI now. And it's interesting because I feel like in a lot of ways Facebook has gone that direction and people are seeing a lot less results over there because it does really feel like it's all AI generated stuff, crap
Yeah.
over on Facebook, right? And
Yep.
it's not that
Right.
Instagram isn't. I just think it's more like back where Facebook used to be, right? Where you can reach out to someone and DM them and have that personal
Yeah.
one-on-one relationship with them, like you're talking about. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that stuff. That was really the question I had.
Cool.
Yeah,
Craig, you got any
take
questions?
to take
Yeah,
that a step
please.
further, to take it a step further though as well is because people they'll add somebody on Instagram and then they'll do it for like a month or two and then they'll be like why do I not have people coming to me and why am I not signing
Mm,
people up? And there's a mindset shift that everybody kind of needs, and you kind of learn this in sales. Like when I started at a car dealership, the first thing they told me was just be here 3 years from now. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, most leases end 3 years later. So every month, every time you sell a lease, that's going to be a residual customer 3 years from now. So
mm.
when you first start, your client book is tiny. You don't have anybody. Your only client book is new customers that come onto the lot. So yes, you're not going to make a lot of money. And the person that's been here for 5 years,
Yeah.
you see them selling a car every single day. It's well because they sold hundreds of cars in the
They sold me
past.
my car.
Right.
And
So
I was back 3 years later to get another one.
it's the same thing in this business. When you look at a barber that owns his own shop or that he owns a chair in a spot, his first month, it's only people that walk in that he's going to be able to get clients of. But as he builds that client book up month after month after month, he starts to get more customers. So it's the same thing with network marketing. You have to have the mentality of fill up your client book, fill up your Instagram, fill up your funnel,
Ron.
fill that up. You have to have the mindset of every day you're just trying to fill it up. And how can you fill it up? Well, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Like right now, Robert being consistent to YouTube, there's somebody watching that's probably watched 44 episodes and is finally probably going to get to the point now today to say, I got to reach out to Robert.
I'm like, it's you.
I
So
watched
go ahead
enough.
and do it right now. If you're watching this, reach out.
And
Well,
by
thank
the
you for
way,
sharing that, Matt. I appreciate
thanks.
you doing that because I think a lot of people are kind of looking at Instagram and even TikTok. You know, I don't have a lot of experience with TikTok. I think that's a generation below me that grew up with that. We grew up with like Instagram, right? So it's like
Yeah.
mostly that's our thing. And I think like it is really, really important that you stick with what is working. And what Matt is sharing here is very important, you guys, that you start at the base level and you build from there. Like
Yeah.
I think a lot of people expect instantaneous results. And even when you see someone with a large following like you, Matt, or Dad, that doesn't happen overnight. Like it takes consistent posting and consistent growth to make that happen. And just like you're saying, Matt, when you have that large Rolodex, so to speak, of people, maybe an old term, but you then can move and go to really anywhere you want. You can see that with like Joe Rogan and some of these other people where like, listen, if you think these two guys are, if anything were to happen, God forbid, to MDC, if you don't think these guys have a career after that, you're absolutely wrong. That following and the growth that you guys have built follows you after that or with that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
thank you
And
for sharing that. That's my
what
only question. So
what can
Thanks,
cause
my
everything?
son.
Huh?
I just said thanks, my son. Go ahead now.
Oh, what can change all of your guys' mindsets, no matter what, is consistency kills everything. Like it
Mm.
doesn't matter whatever's in front of you, if you're as long as you're consistent, you can't be stopped.
No.
Like it doesn't matter how big the obstacle is, consistency pushes it right through. Like the universe, the world, like it will never stop you if you're just consistent. And I don't mean consistent for a day, I don't mean consistent for a week, I don't mean consistent for a month, I don't mean consistent for a year. It is consistent, guys, for your lifetime. Like you have to be a 100% professional and be consistent for the rest of your life. And that is how you're going to achieve every single one of your goals. Like I realized that as soon as I became a professional network marketer and I've been consistent every single day, that's why I am where I am. And most people, they just never get to that point. They give up 6 months, a year, 2 years. But if you're consistently inviting, if you're consistently presenting, if you're consistently closing, if you're consistently trying to build through, if you're consistently going to the events, consistently listening to personal development, if you're consistent on all of those things, there is no way you will not be successful.
Amen.
I believe that too.
And that was
believe
what
that
I
too.
was going to ask, Maddie, is that, you know, it is consistency. It is, you know, the foundation. A lot of people, like you said so perfectly, you really, really did, how you have to, what is it? You have to go through the basics.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take it, you know, you have to learn. You're not going to, win in the very beginning. Yes, you may get some wins. You may get lucky,
Yep.
but then what you say is so perfect about consistency. And I was going to actually ask a question regarding, you know, what do you recommend to do to get to where you are? You answered the question. And everybody should be listening to this if they want to get to the top.
Right.
You know, Robert has 30 some odd years of experience. Your experience, Maddie, is a lot less. However, it's the consistency and what you've learned from the mentors, the documented people, you know, that beats the conversation of others.
Yeah.
That's all I really
And
want to say.
if you want to
you.
collapse time frames, like if you don't want to wait, 13 years, if you don't want to wait 30 plus years to get to where Robert is, to get to where I am, it's going to take like quantum level energy, effort, and putting in the activity. Because guys, I'm not going to lie, there are days where I've taken off. There are weeks that I've been complacent, and that's why it's taken me 13 years. If you want to go faster, you have to be more consistent. You have to put in more energy. You have to put in more effort. And that's how you do see some people go and hit, in their first 3 years, their first seven figures. You're like, how did they do that?
Right.
Well, they
Oh,
did 12 years of work and
compressed
crammed
it.
it into 3 years.
This is
You know,
Maddie being an overnight success. This is what an overnight success is in the
yeah,
eyes of a lot of people.
Right.
and the biggest struggle that a lot of people have is the people that have the success right away. They think it's going to be that easy all the way through. And I
Ugh.
try to tell all of my leaders that go hit, significant like lower level ranks. We're talking like $3,000 to $5,000 a month. When they get to that $3,000 to $5,000 mark, they kind of get stuck there. I see this all the time in this industry that
Yes.
most people get stuck around that $2,000 to $5,000 mark. And what I tell every single one of my leaders is whoever got you to $2,000 to $5,000 a month is not going to get you to $10,000. And who
Correct.
gets you to $10,000 is not going to get you to $50,000 a month. You have to have the mentality that your teams are always going to change, your leaders are always going to change. And I don't like the analogy of the snake, but I use it because the snake, as you know, sheds its skin. And as it sheds its skin, it grows and it changes. And that's exactly who you are in this business. Who you attracted in your first run is who you were. So those people got you to $2,000 a month. In order for you to get to $5,000 a month, you have to shed your skin and you have to raise your leadership. You have to become that person, which is going to attract that level of leadership. And once you get to that mark, if you want to get to the next mark, it's you have to raise your level of leadership. You have to raise your level of who you are. And you have to have the mentality of the people that are here now are not going to get me to the next level. And if you sit there and you wait for those people to grow, and you wait for those people to shed their skin, and you sit there and you try to pour into them, you try to pour into them, and you try to pour into them, you're going to look back 6 months to a year later and be like, why am I still stuck here? And it's
Right.
because not everybody's going to grow, guys. Not everybody's going to want to get to that next level. They're happy at $600 a month. They're happy at $1,000 a month. They don't want to grow anymore. So if you are on this right now and you're like, man, I've been stuck for years. Well, have you grown? Have you changed? Have you moved the needle just a little bit higher? And if you can't say yes to that, well, then there's your answer.
Absolutely.
Well, thank
Really
you,
quickly,
Craig. Oh, go ahead.
got to give a shout out to Santa Corky who donated in the super chat. If you
Oh,
would
wow.
like to donate to us to help our channel grow, and also the donations go to organizations that Robert supports, particularly orphanages and kids with needs. Go ahead and click the $ in the chat on YouTube. Click it's right below in the where the chat box is. Click on that, and the money will go to those organizations. So thank you,
Wow.
Santa Corky, and appreciate it. And yeah, Maddie, just thank you again, because these are the things. Okay, Robert, you kind of say this all the time, or maybe you are the person who is too close to the group. What's the
You're not a
I forget.
prophet in your own hometown.
Thank you. There it is. The prophet in your own town. So what you're hearing, ladies and gentlemen, is somebody who is from another town, who has gone through the things, who has the documentation that beats the conversation that Robert is sharing with us. So please just even listen to this again. Watch this video again. I'm not trying to end it. I'm just trying to, say that what Robert shares with us is exactly what it will take to get you guys to the next level. And Maddie, you've done it, whether you followed Robert specifically or not. You've taken exactly what Robert shares with us to
Yeah.
move on to these levels. So bless
You
you,
know
my
what?
friend. Thank you so much.
I got told over and over and over and over when I was first getting started that all the people that you see at the top all say the same exact thing. And they always said, don't reinvent the wheel. And I remember for the first couple of years, I was always trying to reinvent the wheel. I was always trying to do my own thing. I was trying to figure out different ways to go faster. And just like you said, Robert might not be a prophet in his own hometown because they've already heard all of the things that he tries to teach. And then I come on and they're like, wait a minute, this is the same stuff that Robert talks about. And it's because, guys, once you realize that we're literally trying to teach you how to go make seven figures, not for our financial, or actually it is for our financial benefit,
Right.
but really it's because we want you to make seven figures. Because if you make seven figures, guess what it does to our organization? It grows.
Yeah.
So like we're actually teaching you things that will help our organization grow. when I realized that concept,
Yeah.
I was like, this is the only business where someone's going to actually give you the real tools to go be successful because they need you to be successful. And I just started listening. I started just completely dropping the ego, and I just soaked up all of the knowledge, and I just started applying all of those things. And that's when everything changed for me.
It's thank you, Craig. Thank you, Craig. Yeah, well, for you guys too, man, great questions, Matthew and Craig. You can see why I got them around me. So if you guys see on his message, he's got Matty Thayer in Instagram, and we're going to talk about his YouTube channel here in a second. But one of the things, there's so many wisdom bombs in there. And one of the things I think is funny, and I know this has happened to you too, is you take people to an event, right? And I know this will be the opposite of what you and Craig just talked about. But if someone asked what my magic is, it's my willingness to know that for me to get what I want, I have to do what I want for other people. So a lot of people are going to be blown away when I say this, but me and Matthew are not on the same team.
We're not.
So me doing this with him doesn't financially reward me or vice versa. But if you ask both of us, because of we think on a spiritual plane, we know why we're both doing this. Because he's invited me to be on his podcast sometime in April, because me and him know. So I've taken people to events. They listen to things like Mr. Thayer, new super affiliate. And then they come up to me afterwards, and Matthew, I just want you to confirm this because it's the funniest thing that happens. And they come up and they go, why didn't you tell me what Matthew Thayer said? Because now I get it. Now I understand, and I'm going straight to the top. And you just, the inside of you wants to punch him in the face. As you said, I said this thing freaking 1,000 times to you. But different voices, different spirits talk to different hearts. So, talk about that, because I think it's hilarious when you take people to an event and they go, oh my God, why didn't you teach us that? And you're going like, I'm just going to be happy that you got it.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was at an event one time, and the guy on the stage said, most of you guys are only going to retain 10% of what I say on the stage. And I remember that so vividly because it's so true. During an hour speech, you really actually only attentively listen for probably 10% of the entire speech. So when you go to these different events, you're going to hear me, you're going to hear Robert, you're going to hear other leaders. And the 10% that you listen to might have just been what Robert said. Maybe the 10% is what I just said.
Good point.
And,
great point.
At the end of the day, it's like you just have to get in front of as many leaders as you possibly can. And the reason why I wanted to do this specific podcast is because here's the reality. In MDC, we are all MDC.
Amen.
If Robert becomes more successful, if someone on his team, because they heard me, becomes more successful, that's social proof for the industry that it's possible. See, me hitting super affiliate is amazing, right? It's great. But me hitting super affiliate was more about the belief level of all of MDC to know, oh my gosh, it's still possible. It could happen for me. Simon hitting 500K in 60 days. That raised the belief of every new person that it's possible to do something like that in that amount of time. Yeah. And, doing these types of things, it just gives the reach to more people. It gives the opportunity for people that I might have never been able to touch. Right. There's people in your network that I would have never had an opportunity to talk to. I would have never had the opportunity to mentor or coach or be able to help, just in the same way for you. I got a bunch of people on this promoting your podcast that they're going to hear from you. And it's just the overall goal, guys, is the health of MDC and all reality, though, the whole entire industry, getting everybody aware of what this industry is and how beautiful it is, and knowing that it's possible.
Yeah, totally agree. And one of the last things I want to share with you guys is a quick story that happened to me yesterday. This will blow your guys' mind. All right. So the UPS man, I just happened to catch him. You know what I mean? Dogs are barking, they're going bananas. And I answer the door and he says, you have to sign for this. And it was a gift, not bragging, but it was a gift from Joss and Jenna for 7 years. You know what I mean? Really gracious gift. And I'm signing for it. And then he goes, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Sure." He goes, "I'm the guy, the UPS guy that delivered your 100,000 K YouTube plaque." And I
Wow.
said, "Wow." And he goes, "So I looked you up on YouTube. I went through all your videos. I just want to know what's the next step."
Wow.
And I'm going like, man, was it worth doing all the content and all the focus and all the videos? Yeah. It's like this credibility. The other thing that I tell people, and I know I'm going to do everything I can to push Matthew Thayer's YouTube channel as well. I'll give him a copy of this video so he can load it up on there, his YouTube as well. But one of the things that's really amazing is I got a lot of trophies and things, but they're in a niche. They're in a niche called affiliate marketing, network marketing. Some of these trophies are for my contribution for charity. Those are very, very special for me to get recognized for giving a lot of money to support. But when I got this award, it's like people know what that is. And if they tried to build a YouTube channel with unrealistic expectations, they're going, I tried to build a YouTube channel, but it doesn't work. And yeah, that YouTube channel is giving over $25,000 in the last year to orphans.
Wow.
So it worked. So I want to do two more things when we're done. Matt, because of Matt, you can see that this is why I stutter. I want to call you Mr. Thayer, but here's two more things. I want to ask you one question, then have you have the last word.
Okay.
Okay. Here's one of my favorite all-time questions. All right. When people interview you, or they get to spend a little time with you, you give them time. What is the thing that you wish they would ask you that they never do? You're like listening to all these questions, Instagram, and what do you say to people, and where do where'd you get your tattoo from? You get all this stuff, and you go, dude, man, I wish you would ask me this one question, because when I answer it, you're toast.
Yeah.
So what's that question?
Well, it's really changed
Yeah,
over the last year and a half. And there was a moment where, and I've actually trained on this a couple different times now. It's a moment where I believe God really spoke to me. I feel like it was finally like my mission. It was my overall reasoning why I am legitimately all in. And I have a tattoo on my hand now that says Matthew 18:13. So if there's a question, it would be, Matt, why are you so inspired? Like why have you never given up? Like what is driving you right now? Because obviously you've hit seven figures, you've hit the top rank of the company. What is now your real reason why you're continuing to go? And how I would answer that question now is, again, it goes back to when I was just that kid. When I was 22 years old, guys, I was lost. Like I did not know what I wanted to do with my life. I was going through the motions. I was doing what everybody else was doing. But man, I swear, when I saw this industry, it finally was that roadmap. It was finally that vision at the end of the tunnel. And it really felt like I was actually found because growing up, I didn't have a mentor in my life. In sports, I did. I had a coach. And this was the first time that I got a career where I knew I could make money, but it felt like I also had mentors. I had people that wanted to see me become the best version of myself. And, that was really my mission, guys, for so long. And I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that I just wanted that for everybody.
yeah,
About a year and a half ago, I went to a church service, and this church is such a great church because it really takes like Bible, the things that happen in the Bible, and applies it to real world things. And as I'm attending this church service, they're just talking about a passage of, if the Lord has 99 sheep that are accounted for, if there's just even one missing out of the 100, he will leave the 99 to go for the one. And I'm sitting at that church service and, I usually take something out of it every single time.
Yeah.
But for some reason, as I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's it.
Yep.
I love this industry because the Lord went and found me. He put me in position to become the best version of myself. That's what I want to do for everybody else. I want to go help as many people as I possibly can be found. But
Yeah.
not just outside of network marketing, guys, also in my team, because there's still a lot of people inside my team right now that got started, but still have not gotten inspired and have not gotten moved yet to get to that next level. And leaving that church service, I knew that that was my mission. But I have to ask every single one of you guys watching this right now, has there ever been a moment where you felt like God really confirmed what you were thinking and like he legitimately actually spoke to you? Because once I got home, I already was going to that was my core belief, that was what I was going to run with. But when I was in high school, I played football. My high school football number was 18. I went on to play semi-professional football. I still do to this day, and my number changed to 13 because that's all that was available. It was the closest thing to 18 because all it was missing was just a little bit for the 13. So I switched to that. Now, when I go to practice, I'm a quarterback, and if you know anything about quarterbacks, they love their football. Like it's got to be their football. So I always brought my football to practice, and on my football, it says Matthew 18/13 because when the team sees it, I want them to know that it's mine, and I don't want to get it mistaken. Well, I get home and I'm throwing it around with a buddy of mine, and it lands on the floor. He picks it up and he looks at it and he goes, Matt, why do you have Matthew 18:13 written on your football? And I said, well, it's because when I take the practice, I don't want it to get stolen. And he said, well, I wonder like what that is in the Bible. And I'm like, I have no clue. My mom always told me that she named me Matthew because my dad's name is Mark, and Matthew's right before Mark in the Bible. And he's like, I wanted to name you like that. I wanted you to be a person of God. She's always got me involved in church. And I was like, well, my number was 18 in high school. My number now is 13. So, that's what I got written on my football. And he goes, well, I wonder what that is. And we Google it right then and there. And it's on Google, and it says, if there's 99 sheep that are accounted for, even if there is one that is missing, the Lord will leave the 99 and go find the one. And there's too many coincidences.
Yeah.
And there's just too many things that have to line up for that to work, right?
Right.
I have to be named Matthew. My high school number has to be 18. My semi-professional number has to be 13. I have to get inspired at church for that exact parable to match up with my journey of this industry. And for all of that to come together, it truly made me feel like God was saying, Matt, you need to go share that with as many people as you possibly can.
Amen.
They need to know that if they're a part of your team, if they're a part of this industry and they're connected to you in any way, shape, or form, you will lead them to a better life. You will help them become the best version of themselves. And guys, that's now when I leave any situation, any conversation, I want people to feel inspired in that way.
Well, normally I say, do you have a last word? I don't know. Do you think you could beat that? That was inspiring to me.
Yeah. My last word would be, guys, is just stick around. Stick around, Robert. Stick around me. Stick around the people that care about you. And no matter how bad it gets, just realize that you're just in a moment of growth. And you might be going through something today, but if you just stick around this, you have people that will raise you up and help you get to, back on top. Because I've hit rock bottom several times in my career. And if I would have just given up, guys, I don't know where I'd be. I'd probably work in a job. I'd be lost again. But my last word would be is just stick through this. Just stick around, never quit, because the only way you can actually fail, because they're never going to fire you. They're never going to tell you that you're the worst affiliate in network marketing history. You're the worst inviter. You're the worst everything. We don't need you anymore. That's never going to happen. So the legitimately only reason you will fail at this business is when you give up and when you quit. Because Robert will never quit on you. I will never quit on you. None of the leadership at MDC will ever quit on you. We can be here for you guys every step of the way.
Man, what an incredible podcast. I can't wait to share this with the world. Matthew, if there's other places, what's your YouTube channel? Can you share with everyone really quickly where they can find you?
Yeah, it's just Matthew Thayer on YouTube. It's just
I'll make sure to post it in the chats and everything like that. So just
Cool.
click
It's already been done. I went
All
ahead
right.
and took care of that. So
Darn you, Craig.
I got great guys taking care of us for sure. So I want each and every one of you, in a last shout out for Matthew Thayer, super affiliate. He's currently doing a series of trainings and stuff. And I've done this many times in my career where, you know, as soon as you hit a level, people are excited and they immediately, everyone reaches out to you from all over the world. How did you hit super affiliate? So seeing Matthew immediately go, listen, I can't get back to all these people. I'm going to journal it down and I'm going to give you episode. And I know a lot of people are going, well, I don't want to watch any videos. Guess what? I wouldn't be where I am without videos. So, you know, it's like it's virtual mentorship. I keep saying all the time that Jim Rohn, you know, people like Bob Proctor that are no longer here, they were my virtual mentors. Yeah, I ate up every audio, every video. I play them on a loop, you know, and every time I listen to them, because I'm growing, I find new stuff in it. So please go over and subscribe and make sure you make some comments and stuff on Mr. Thayer's YouTube, because he needs one of these plaques. I want Matthew to have.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, well, we're gonna help you get there. So Craig, why don't you go ahead and call us out? Thanks again, Matthew. Thanks, Matt, my son. And thanks, Craig. Go ahead and call us out. I appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for your
All
time,
right.
Matthew.
wow, what a great interview. And Matt Thayer, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow Robert Hollis at roberthollis.com. Also, if you'd like to join our exclusive community, you can go to roberthollis.com/video or /YouTube to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There'll be lots of great content, and you'll be able to participate in our special events to help you move on to the next level. Please don't forget to like and share this video on YouTube and with others. It'll help us grow our community and reach out to those with ears to hear. Big shout outs to this whole amazing group. Robert, Matthew Thayer, Matty Pips, Matty Thayer, however you would like it to be. You know, what an incredible interview. And of course, to our executive producer, Matt Hollis. Matt, bless you, my friend. Thank you so very much for taking us to this level and beyond, because we are going for this one and the one over Robert's head. And Matt Thayer, to you as well, and also to Matt Hollis, because we're all working towards getting those gold-colored plaques. So just a reminder that tomorrow at noon Pacific, right here on Robert Hollis's YouTube channel, Ask Me Anything, where you get to ask Robert any question. And that starts at noon Pacific tomorrow, right here on YouTube at Robert Hollis. And we appreciate you joining us here and taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm Craig Jackman. Until next time, please be good to yourselves, be cash, and so long.